Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today, haters are just fans in disguise. You know how they say love and hate are two sides of the same coin? Well, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I think the feelings of love that we get for a person, for example, they're deep, they're intimate, they are passionate emotions, they are feelings of joy and wonder and amazement and curiosity and connection. And I think it's really easy for love to become hate and hate to become love. I think when you hate something, and I was raised as a person who was told never to hate anything. You don't hate anything, you strongly dislike it. My parents were really adamant on this idea. But that wisdom being said, there are times in our life where we do hate things. You hate Brussels sprouts, or you hate a specific person, or you hate a color, or, and typically those emotions are just as strong. You really despise something. You don't see any of its benefit. You see all of its negatives. And in love, you don't see any of the flaws. You just think, oh my gosh, I love this person. Their flaws are irrelevant. Maybe you do understand them, or you acknowledge the flaws, but you still, at the end of the day, love this thing. You love your dog, even if it tracks in the mud. You love your cat, even if it scratches the heck out of your arm. And they're basically synonymous or synchronous. Like, they are two sides of the same emotion. If you love it, you are disregarding certain things because you favor others. And if you hate it, you are doing the exact same thing. I think a lot of us can understand this if you just think about something you hate. If it's a food, if it's that person in accounting, if it's, a former lover, whatever it might be, just think about the benefits. Think about the actual good things of it. Maybe the food is nutritious. Maybe that person in accounting is a really good mom to her kid. Maybe your former lover was, really good at croquet or something like that. Just for a second, acknowledge whatever you hate, acknowledge the good sides. It's hard. It's a really difficult concept, but I think it demonstrates really clearly that, in fact, we're dealing with the same thing, just a different font. And I heard someone recently talk about how haters are just fans in disguise. This kind of blew my mind a little bit because it made me think about many things in life and many negative conversations I've had, many bullies in school, all of these kinds of things. And I have a new perspective on it. And I really have to say, it's not quite it's a bit of a eureka moment, but it's also something that I felt for a while. And to understand that sometimes we hate what we see in others, which is actually inside us. I think this is the common trope when you hear about homophobic people who come out as gay. They really, really hate gays and what they stand for, and they hate pride parades and people being able to be who they are and love who they love. And then you hear years down the road, they're actually on our side. They're actually gay, and they've come out and they live such a better life, and hopefully they're apologetic for being so militant and zealous. But it happens so often that there has to be something there. There has to be a connection. And I think it also comes with social media, where you'll see somebody who's really, really famous and their biggest haters were once supporters. They were once huge followers. They loved this person. They thought, oh my God, this person's so great. And then the curtain comes down, or you learn something about this celebrity that you're just like, oh, they aren't who I thought at all. And that's when the hate starts. Maybe the celebrity comes out in support of a political party you don't support. Maybe they say something that really takes you back and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't know they believed that, or I didn't know they spoke like that, or I didn't know that about their childhood, or, who their parents are, or whatever it might be. And as a result, a hater is born. And it is incredible how often this happens and how tied these two things are. Like I said, I think it's a connection between love and hate. And when the curtain comes down and you figure out that the person you love is actually very different than what you thought, I think that's where hate can really take on a new level of power. And you tend to see this in ex-husbands, ex-wives. These are people that were once loved and now they are despised. Maybe your friends absolutely loved your partner for a little bit, and then suddenly the switch flips, and now your best friend absolutely hates your ex, even more than you might hate your ex. And this connection really can't be overstated. And I think going forward, what I'm going to do and what I advocate you to do is anytime you feel this hate, this tense feeling you get in your chest and you feel your blood sort of pumping and you just think, oh, this person is the worst, or broccoli is the worst, or whatever is the worst, try it and remember how you felt before, or if you didn't love this thing before, acknowledge why it's here. Acknowledge the good things. Maybe your ex was an awful human being to you, but maybe really caring for their little sister. There's always a positive, and I think the healthiest way to fix the situation is you don't have to then love your ex again. You don't have to love Brussels sprouts, but decreasing the temperature in the room is the goal. You want to go from red hot, angry, fiery, I hate broccoli, I hate Brussels sprouts, I hate my ex named Adam, I hate whatever it might be. You want to just breathe and go, you know what? I don't have to consume it. I don't have to hang out with Adam. I'm using a placeholder name. No disrespect to anyone named Adam. You just have to lower the temperature that you feel. Lower the reaction that you get when someone says, oh, I saw Adam at the grocery store yesterday. Okay, cool, whatever. I don't care. This is hard to do. It's very Buddhist monk, but decreasing the temperature and the high level of emotions that you feel for something that you hate is really good. Because I don't know about you, but many times in my life, I have encountered someone or something that I hate, and I sort of look at myself and say, man, I don't like how I'm reacting to this. I don't like how I feel about this. Why am I so angry about this thing? It's not helping me. It's not healthy. Like I said, if somebody like cheated on you or did like unspeakable things, it's fine to not forgive. It's fine to not forget, but just lower the temperature of it. And I know there are situations where that is not possible, and that's fine. But if you're having a visceral reaction to an ex you dated for 5 weeks, or broccoli, or mussels, or some kind of food, if you get so angry about its existence, that's only hurting you. And when I see someone who flips a switch when they hear about a person or something, and they're like, oh my God, I hate that so much. Like, I can't believe you like that, blah, blah, blah. All I think is that this person is a little small-minded, and this person is unable to keep the top on. The top comes off and anger like spurts out. And you don't need that. You don't need to have that reaction. I think we admire the Buddhist monks for detaching from life and possessions, and we kind of admire that will and the sheer ability to just breathe and say, oh, I don't care. And I think the reason we admire that is because we feel as though we couldn't do it in our own lives, but it is absolutely possible. And I think it does make your life better, because the analogy I always use is when you're cut off in traffic, you get to choose whether that ruins your day or you just shove it off and say it's not personal. And just like that, when you have strong feelings and feelings of hatred towards something, you are the thing that gets impacted the worst. You are the thing that is actually taking the damage. When you're yelling at your friend about how much you hate pineapple on pizza, your friend is just looking at you like, okay, chill, like calm down. And you are angry, you are upset, your blood pressure is raised. You feel it pumping through your eyes, and you're just so angry that people would put fruit on a pizza. And the only thing being affected by it is you. Because I hate to tell you, but some of us really like pineapple on pizza. So it's going to exist for as long as you are around, unfortunately. Unless somebody goes after all the pineapples on the planet. But unlikely, very unlikely. So try and just take it with a bit of humor take it with a bit of grace. Understand that, this thing that happened in your story is not the end of your story. It was just a thing that happened. It was a small chapter. Turn the page and allow yourself just to be like, whatever. If you like pineapple on pizza, cool for you, but I don't really care. Because I have quite a negative reaction when somebody gets unnecessarily angry or frustrated about a thing or a person. Okay, he cheated on you. That was awful. He's a loser. Let's move on. You never have to see him again. You get to make the choices in your own life, and you never have to do that to somebody else because you know how it felt. But you also never have to interact with this person. Like I said, I'm not advocating for forgiving the person and going back to them and saying, oh my gosh, like I'm remembering all the good things. No. If they're a toxic person, they're a toxic person. If they're a horrible person, they're a horrible person. That doesn't mean you have to deal with it. That does not mean that you have to engage in it whatsoever. But try and limit your reaction. Don't let them get a rise out of you. Don't let the bullies win. Don't let the jerks make you lose sleep at night. They're gone. They're gone for a reason. You can let it go. Like Elsa said. Thank you for listening. I hope this one was okay. Like I said, I think there are situations which hate might be the right reaction. In very specific situations, you can probably think of them because they're not exactly YouTube monetization safe. But yeah, I have a different take when it comes to things like that. But when you're talking about just a jerk who is an ex, or, broccoli, pineapple on pizza, if you really don't like cats for some reason, I've seen that a few times, check yourself. Just maybe go, whatever. I don't have to have one in my house. It's fine. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'm sure there's some intricacies and some neat stuff that we can talk about in terms of loving and hating, and how oftentimes our biggest critics are actually secretly fans, things like that. Because I think it's an accurate thing. I think a lot of people that want to support somebody can very quickly turn into haters, and we could even define what actually haters are. I don't know. I would like to know. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day, week, month, year, century, millennium, decade, eon, epoch. I might have used one of those wrong. Whatever you're having, I hope it's amazing. And as always, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.